George "Bubba Strait Jr. has spent most of his life standing near one of the most recognizable figures in country music without ever trying to claim that spotlight for himself. As the son of George Strait, he grew up in a world where stadiums filled easily and hit records seemed almost routine. Yet the applause that followed his father rarely followed him home in a way that defined his identity. From an early age, Bubba appeared more comfortable in the background, observing rather than performing. While many celebrity children lean into visibility, he seemed to lean away from it. That instinct shaped nearly every decision he made as an adult. Over time, his quiet approach has sparked curiosity among fans who are used to seeing legacies unfold loudly. Instead, Bubba's story has moved in subtle, restrained chapters. His life raises thoughtful questions about privacy, pressure, and personal choice in a family known for discipline and emotional reserve rather than spectacle. To understand Bubba's reserved nature, it's important to recognize the tragedy that deeply affected the Strait family. In 1986, Bubba's older sister, Jennifer Strait, died in a car accident at just 13 years old. The loss profoundly changed the emotional landscape of their household. For George Strait and his wife Norma, grief was not something they processed publicly. Instead, they withdrew from media attention and guarded their family life with even greater care. George, who had been rising rapidly in country music, became notably private in interviews after that moment. For Bubba, who was still a child, the message was clear without being spoken aloud. Fame does not shield a family from pain. The experience reinforced the importance of privacy and emotional containment. Rather than growing up in a home fueled by celebrity glamour, Bubba matured in an environment defined by protection, resilience, and quiet endurance. That foundation would later influence how he approached both career decisions and public visibility. As he entered adulthood, Bubba faced assumptions about his future. With a legendary father and deep ties to Nashville, many expected him to pursue music directly. Instead, he chose a very different path. Bubba attended Texas A&M University, where he committed himself to competitive rodeo, specifically team roping. The decision surprised some observers, but for Bubba, it made sense. Rodeo offered merit-based recognition. Once inside the arena, last names carried little weight. Skill, discipline, and timing determined outcomes. That straightforward environment contrasted sharply with the entertainment industry's complexities. Bubba trained intensely, focusing on horsemanship and precision. He later competed under the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, signaling that this was not a hobby but a serious athletic pursuit. In rodeo circles, respect is earned through performance, not heritage. For someone raised to value self-reliance, the sport provided independence and structure. It also gave him space to build an identity separate from the expectations attached to his surname. One of the notable milestones in Bubba's rodeo career included appearances at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, an event long associated with his father's performances. The setting carried symbolic weight. While George Strait filled massive audiences with music, Bubba entered the same broader arena environment as a competitor, not a headliner. At times, father and son even roped together, sharing victories that reportedly meant more to George than many industry awards. Those shared moments highlighted a bond built less on celebrity and more on mutual respect. However, rodeo is physically demanding, and injuries are an accepted risk. Bubba suffered a significant hand injury during competition, reportedly damaging his index finger in a roping accident. For a team roper, hand control is essential. The setback forced him to reevaluate his long-term athletic future. Rather than announcing a dramatic retirement, he gradually stepped back. The transition was quiet, consistent with his lifelong approach to public life. After moving away from full-time rodeo competition, Bubba found himself reconnecting with music, though not in the way many expected. Instead of stepping forward as a performer, he began collaborating behind the scenes with his father. Songwriting became a natural bridge between shared experiences and creative expression. Bubba contributed to several of George Strait's later projects, including material connected to the album Twang. One of the notable songs associated with that period was Living for the Night, which carried reflective and introspective themes. Industry observers noted that Bubba's writing leaned toward emotional honesty rather than flashy commercial hooks. For George, Working with his son reportedly revitalized aspects of his creative process. Yet Bubba did not use songwriting success as a launchpad for personal fame. He remained largely off-camera, allowing the music to speak without attaching his own public narrative to it. That deliberate restraint reinforced his reputation as someone comfortable contributing without center-stage recognition. Over time, however, Bubba's public visibility seemed to decrease further. Songwriting credits became less frequent, and joint appearances with his father grew rare. Unlike many contemporary figures, Bubba maintained no active social media presence to document daily life or clarify rumors. He and his wife, Tamara, continued raising their children privately in Texas, reportedly valuing stability over publicity. For some fans, the absence simply aligned with his long-standing preference for discretion. For others, it prompted speculation about whether deeper pressures were at play. Recently, reports surfaced regarding a legal dispute involving a home renovation project in Texas. Public records indicated that a construction firm filed a lawsuit seeking financial damages related to contractual disagreements. As with many civil cases, allegations were presented in court filings, and the matter entered the legal process without extensive public commentary from those involved. It is important to note that legal disputes do not equate to conclusions, and such cases often resolve through established judicial procedures. In examining Bubba Strait's journey, patterns emerge that reflect consistency rather than sudden change. From childhood onward, he was shaped by a family culture that prized privacy, especially after profound loss. He pursued rodeo not to rebel, but to define himself through skill. He entered music not to inherit a spotlight, but to collaborate meaningfully. When public scrutiny intensified, he did not pivot toward visibility. Instead, he maintained the same reserved posture that has characterized his adult life. Whether his reduced public presence reflects personal preference, shifting priorities, or the natural evolution of family dynamics is ultimately known only to those closest to him. What remains clear is that Bubba Strait's story challenges common assumptions about celebrity lineage. Not every legacy unfolds loudly. Sometimes it unfolds quietly, shaped by choices that prioritize family, stability, and personal boundaries over public affirmation.